All right. So, hi, you guys, and welcome to season one, episode seven of the Ecom CEO podcast. I want to welcome you guys and thank you for tuning in to today's podcast. I do have a special guest with us today. Her name is Brooke, and Brooke is an online business owner. But Brooke also helps online business owners. And so I really want to bring more coaches, consultants, and just helpers for people that are in the online business space to really help them grow and scale their business. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce Brooke and I'm going to let her tell you guys a little bit more about who she is, what she does, and how she can help you. So, welcome to the podcast, Brooke. Tell us
Hi.
about yourself. Yes,
Thank you
yes.
so much for having me. I'm honored to, be the first coach consultant. That's really a great space to be. So, like you said, I am Brooke Mitchke-Downs and I am a customer service strategist, and that sounds like a whole lot. But what I do is I teach advanced customer service skills to businesses and network marketers so that they can leverage that to create lasting relationships with their customers. A lot of people think customer service just is, oh, be nice. It's so much more than that. Customer service, for me at least, is like air, it touches every part of your business. And when you have a solid strategy and plan around it, then you can, relax and you know where you're headed. And when you have those customers that are a little harder to deal with, you know where you're going and you know what to do. And you know how to, de escalate them and how to um, turn customers into brand ambassadors who go out and talk about your business. I don't know about you, but if you have ever had amazing customer service, you go back. And then
Absolutely.
if you have terrible customer service, you either tell everyone, or if you're a super sweet, good person, then you just quietly don't ever go back and you never tell anybody about the place. So I help people learn how to balance that, especially with this new online realm that we all find ourselves in.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And customer service is super important, Brooke. It doesn't matter if you're selling products or services, like you said. Customer service is really, the difference maker, and really part of what helps you not just build your branding, but really establish yourself as you know someone who people should actually buy from, because your reputation is everything. So if you provide not so good customer service, like you said, there's going to be people who sing it to the world. People are very vocal.
Yeah.
So
And well, especially with the safety of the internet, they can be very vocal and you never even know who it is. So my background is a lot of areas of customer service, but the last thing I did was I worked for a giant tech company who I cannot name because I signed a contract that I wouldn't, and I can't fight their legal team. So I taught and built a customer service program for them that they are using today that wins awards. So my big example
wow.
of customer service is I use Apple because they're not the only computer company in the world. They're not the only cell phone provider. They're not the only tablet provider. They're not the only place to get your apps, or music or books or any of those things. Sorry, my cat's being a little weird. I
It's okay. It's okay.
don't know if
Look.
you can hear or not. Um, but they're not. So how do they get away with charging what they charge outside of people are going to say, well, the components and yada yada. Okay, well, outside of all the amazing components, how do they get away with it? And I'm telling you flat out, it's customer service. It's because it doesn't matter if you call them or email them or use their chat service. If you reach out from the United States, you are getting someone who lives in the United States. They don't outsource. And if you email first and then you call in, all of that is tracked. It all works together, and you're going to get a consistent customer experience across the board. And you can do that too. You just have to know their tricks. And that's literally what I teach. I teach the advanced customer service skills that companies like Apple and Amazon and, the places that have the great customer service that they use.
Man, I mean, and that's super helpful, because I like what you said, and I zoned in when you said customer experience, because that's a big one for me. People, a lot of the people that I deal with really don't understand the importance of customer experience, and how customer experience, really determines if you have a lifelong customer. It also determines if someone converts, right? So that's a huge impact for people who are running the online businesses, and especially for people who are product-based businesses, because in product-based businesses, your website should provide that good user experience, right? You want to build kind of that customer service aspect into your website,
Even if your website isn't crazy user friendly, like if you are new with your website and you're not sure where to go, making sure that the contact information is easily accessible. I mean, your contact information, in my humble opinion, should be at the bottom of go to any professional site, go to Amazon, go to Apple, go to, I don't know, go to Folgers, go to Johnson & Johnson. At the very bottom, in all those little things, you will see contact us, because they want you to know that you can reach them. Now, you may reach a robot, you may reach someone whose English isn't a first language, and that's not a bad thing. I love how diverse companies are. I love that, some of them are global, but it can also be a little frustrating with a language barrier. So, it's half of one, six a dozen of another. But as long as your contact information is easily accessible, your website can be a little clunky. People will forgive that. Most people will forgive that.
Yes.
But making sure that they can reach you if they need you, if they have a question, if they just want to tell you, how great a product is. If they can't reach you, they can't share that information. So that is actually one of my first tips, is to make sure that your contact information is available to the world. Now, if you don't want someone to contact you a certain way, don't give them that info. Like, if you don't want them to message you, don't give them your Facebook Messenger. Okay. Like, just don't.
Totally agree. Totally agree. And I mean, I also agree with the contact information, as well as some other things I feel like should be, front and center for when people, visit your website or deal with you. It should be very easy. Like you see, like you're saying, people's social media icons, you always see those at the bottom of people's websites to, easily link their social media pages, as well as, like you said, the more established companies, they have their contact, whether email, phone number,
their social media representative.
absolutely, absolutely. It's going to be something there, right, to give people that outlet. And so that's definitely something that a lot of people miss. And I think that's just because, is it because they're in the online space? They feel like they're already accessible, or is it because they don't feel like people are going to be reaching out to them?
I think it's because people are just now starting to see how important the customer service aspect is. And so they haven't thought of all of these avenues that, when you boil it, well, hi, Mir. Sorry, she's a pain. When you boil it all down, um, it all comes down to customer service. Being able to contact you as customer service, letting your customers know that you want to reach out to them and asking how they want to be contacted. That's something that people don't even think about. When was the last time you actually read an email from someone you weren't expecting an email from? I'm not saying your funnels are wrong. Don't come for me. Don't come for me. I'm not saying you shouldn't collect emails. I'm not saying you shouldn't have a funnel. I am asking you to expand your funnel by asking how your people want to be contacted. I sell tea because I need the discount, because I'm a tea snob and I'm addicted to this certain kind of tea from this certain company that I'm not plugging. But I ask the people who buy this tea from me how they want me to follow up with them. I have a lady who only wants me to call her on the phone. She has been a consistent purchaser every month since I started, but I would never have her business or, know that she wants me to call her if I hadn't asked. If I had just been relying on emails to get to her, she would have purchased one time and I'd have lost that customer. By asking how people want you to communicate with them, you're literally opening the gateway to how they work. You're starting first, the first interactions of building real trust. And please just know, most people have 3 emails. They have the email they really use, they have the email they use for business and bills, and then they have the email that they give you to get your freebie. God's
You're
honest.
right. You're right. You're right. And, when you talk about that, something that I really love is basically the fact that you're really kind of lending towards different, marketing avenues. Like, you need to have email. You also, if you do have the ability to have, live customer support, definitely have live customer support, which could be chat, live chat, or automated chat on a website. Also text message like marketing, and I've even seen some people provide text message support, which, for, small businesses, that's probably like next level for small businesses.
It can be, but there are some really great programs out there that let you do that. So for me personally, my clients get, well, not all of my clients, my one-to-one clients and my program clients. I've got a 3-month program. We work one-to-one. You get access to me through Voxer. So if you are working with a customer and they come to you and they are just like mad and you literally don't know what to do, all you have to do is reach out. You have access to me through Voxer. And my little chirp goes off and I answer. That's what I'm there for. So there are lots of ways that you can make sure that you are there for your customers on a field that feels comfortable to you and, is part of your boundaries. And that's another very important customer service tip. Know your boundaries. Do not waver or waffle from your boundaries, because the minute you do, all bets are off. So like, I have a boundary that I don't respond to tea clients, the people who are buying all of my tea. I don't respond to them on Sunday at all. I do no tea business on Sunday whatsoever, even if I'm doing an online party or an online vendor space. Sundays are when I do crazy, goofy things with my family. Sundays are when I, gather up all of the things that I should have done during the week and I get them finished. And that's a personal boundary for me. But I tell people this. I in my business, I call this pre-paving. So have you ever driven through a brand new subdivision before the houses go up, before the roads are in, when they're just like the staked out lots and it's just clear dirt? The first thing in there is the streets, right? And they've got the streets completely marked. Like they're flat, they're smooth, they're ready to be paved. They are pre-paved. That's the first thing that goes in, because they have to know the distance from the street for certain things. Like there's always a regulation about how close a sewer can be, how close a septic tank, how close the electric lines, Wi-Fi, all of these things. So that is pre-paved. You can do this with your customers. You can pre-pave that when their item, or the day, 3 days after your coaching session, or your 3 days after you talk to them about insurance, or whatever your thing is, just I want to check in with you. I'd love to do it 3 days after your product arrives. What is the best way to reach out to you? You have told them that you're going to talk to them. You're giving them the option to tell you how they want you to communicate with them. And they know that you care enough to check up. Like those are huge pieces that can literally overnight change your business.
And
You
you're
can also
totally,
do, I'm
you're
sorry.
right. No, you're totally right. You're totally right.
You can
Like,
do it with follow-up too. A
yeah,
lot of us, we've all heard the fortune is in the follow-up. The follow-up can be so hard. I hated doing follow-up. When in my previous life, I was like, oh my God, they don't want to hear from me. They're gonna be like, why is she messing with me? I don't want to buy anymore. Like it was all those feelings, right? All that anxiety, all the they're gonna tell me no.
right.
But if you tell people you're gonna follow up with them and you know how they prefer to communicate, following up is no longer, creepy. Hey girl, did you get this? Oh, hi. I've got this thing over here that I'd love to sell you. It's there.
Yes.
So my entire goal is to reach enough people that no one ever sends a hey girl message ever again. There are so many better ways to talk to people without
Absolutely.
without the hey girl, without that awkward, I haven't spoken to you since high school, how do I tell you about my new business? Right? That all feels so 80s, and while some things from the 80s, like the big crazy colored hoop earrings and crimped hair, are coming back, shoulder pads and skeezy salesmanship should not.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love, like, we're speaking the same language, and it's funny how we can be, in different arenas, but we can speak the same language, because one of the things that I tell people to do really is to um enforce that post purchase follow up. Like, you really want to follow up with people after that purchase is made. It doesn't matter if you're running a service based business and you're coaching, you could be selling a product, right? You still want to follow up with people, that after that product, you're going to, after that person buys that product, you're going to tell them, hey, did you receive it? Like you said, what was your experience like? You're going to ask them for like a survey or some feedback, right? Then you also maybe educate them on the product, you know, so how to better use it, right? And then that continues to build your brand, and it keeps you on their mind to bring them back
Right.
to you. So what do you
And
think about that?
I love all of that. There are organic ways to do that, so it doesn't feel like, hey, you purchased this, thank you. Let me pick your brain. Here's a survey. There are ways to gain feedback and reviews and things that feels good. That doesn't feel, creepy. So Native deodorant, actually, if you buy Native and you leave them a review, they will send you a coupon. If you leave them a video review, they'll send you a bar of deodorant. And if you leave them a review like, hey, Native gave me a rash, they'll buy you a bar of different deodorant. but that's how they show their customer service. And you can do something similar with my tea. If you leave me, like if you go into my tea group and you unbox something live, or you go into my tea group and you go live and you tell them, hey, I love this tea, I will send you a bag of tea. It just makes sense. You're giving value for the value that you're taking. You are going to hear give more than you take, all sorts of cliche tchotchke sayings, but there's some truth in those. You just have to know the line between skeezy and organic. I literally teach that. I follow up with my previous clients all the time. I actually got off the phone right before this with the coffee shop that I helped. He is a retired police officer, and he bought his favorite donut coffee shop. The owner was retiring. He bought it. He got in there, and suddenly it was tanking. Like, he didn't understand why the customers had stopped coming. None of the recipes had changed. None of the coffee had changed. He didn't really change the staff. I mean, some of the staff left, but there weren't more new people than established people. And he couldn't figure out what it was. And he was my very first client, and he was very sweet. And I let him know, hey, your employees are your first line of customer. And he was like, oh. And we built a strategy and established a customer service tree. I call it a customer service tree because it has roots, and then it has a body, and then you go up in the branches for solutions. And having this concrete plan that he was able to hand his employees gave them a leg to stand on and the authority to handle issues on their own. And they didn't have to waffle and waver and go, oh, well, I need to ask my manager about that. And, there was a sense of ownership. And if you can give that to your employees, even if you only have one or two, even if you just have a VA and like a video editor, if you can give them the authority to do certain things autonomously, then there's just a sense of pride that your work is being recognized and you're trusted enough to handle things. And he went from making less than $500 a week in sales. When we got off the phone, he was like, oh, I need to let you know, I hit $500,000 and it's not even the end of the first quarter. And I was like, yes.
Wow, so, that's amazing.
Real customer service, and having that plan and getting down deep and knowing what you're doing, like having those advanced skills in your pocket that you can whip out and use, really, really will help your business. Even if you're a solopreneur, changing your certain vocabulary words so that you use the best of neurolinguistics. Like, I don't know if you heard earlier, I didn't say problem. When I was talking about employees dealing with things, I didn't say the employees can deal with a problem, because problem has a really seriously hard negative connotation. And I'm going to give another example. So if you're texting your significant other and they're like, hey, what are you doing? And you were in the kitchen cooking and you texted them, oh, I lacerated my finger. They are getting in the car or jumping on the bus and they are on their way home, right?
Right.
Because laceration, they're thinking like fountains of blood, missing limbs, they get home, you're wearing a Hello Kitty Band-Aid. Because laceration is literally the medical term for an open bleeding wound. So it's a cut, right? But if you use the word problem with customer, their brain goes, yeah, this is a problem. And it just spins up, instead of using a neutral term like issue, which causes the prefrontal cortex to have to analyze that word for meaning and gives you a pause. That pause is often enough for the customer to go, but is this really an issue? Or,
Hmm.
and then they begin to de-escalate themselves. I actually have a freebie in my group that is 5 words and phrases that you can change that will have an immediate and dramatic effect on your customer service. I also do what I call a word for Wednesday, where I go over other words that aren't on this quick freebie. And that's all in my group, which is real life customer service. It's on Facebook. It's super easy to find. I'll make sure that the link gets put somewhere. But
Yes,
I
I
mean,
will include it in the description.
that's awesome.
Yes. Now, we've kind of talked around it, but I want to know if there are any others. What what are the main struggles that people come to you with?
Most people come to me because they don't have a clear idea of what customer service is or how it affects their business. They come to me because they've had customers who were just off the charts and they didn't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
I've had people come to me like my coffee shop cop. He's like, I don't understand. I bought a thriving business and now it is not thriving. Um, you can't make a cake without a leavening agent, be it eggs or uh, baking soda, baking powder, yeast. You can't make a cake without something to make it rise. You can't run a business without understanding customer service. And
Absolutely.
yes, you can work in the restaurant business and you have a certain level of understanding customer service. But most businesses are still clinging to that 1950s idea of the customer is always right, give them what they want, and they'll come back and be loyal. But all that does is train people to complain. We created Karen. Sorry, all you Karens out there. I hate that.
They're
I
probably
have
not
I
listening to
have
this
an Aunt
podcast.
Karen and it's just awful. I prefer to call them Richards because I've had more men be absolute Richards.
Oh wow.
But we created that.
Yeah.
We taught people that if they threw a big enough fit, they would get whatever they wanted for free.
Right.
And that all that does is make you as the business owner bitter so that the next time there's an issue, it's going to be harder to deal with because you'll feel that, oh God, another one syndrome.
Right.
We've all
Right.
been there, right? We've all had that job when we were younger, McDonald's or Walmart or wherever. And you're just like, another one. Oh God.
Right. Right.
And that's never the impression we want to give our customers. That's never the impression we want to give our clients.
Right. I
So,
mean, and this makes me think of something interesting, which I would love to hear what your take on this is. You know, as far as because something big that I preach is having return and refund, thinking more for the product based people, having return and refund policies in place, you know, and having a process, for those returns or refunds, and understanding how that helps you actually retain your customer. The part that I feel like a lot of people forget is, number one, returns and refunds are going to happen, period.
yep.
Like, it's going to happen, it's bound to happen. And what makes a return or a refund so like exhausting or frustrating is because that company normally doesn't have their policies and things together, which makes me as a customer say, man, why did I even buy from this place in the first place? So what are your thoughts about that?
Um, See, returns and refunds are part of customer service. Like when I say customer service touches every part of your business, customer service even touches your money going to the bank. Like customer service is part of everything. So
Wow.
when I set a customer service strategy, one of the roots is actually a return and refund policy. And this is just for the product-based businesses that are their own entity. Like if you own your own t-shirt shop. Now, if you are an independent consultant, you have to kind of base your return policy on what your parent company states. But like for me, I can't return opened tea.
Right.
Because it is a food product, and that is actually against the law. All that open food that you take back to Walmart because it's stale, they throw out. If you take back a can that's never been opened, they still throw it out. Target does too, because there are laws. And it's for public safety. You never know what someone has tampered with. I'm not saying that any of my tea people would ever tamper with anything, but you never know. Like your tea person may not have tampered with it, but what if her ex-boyfriend is trying to get back at her? You never know. So what I do when they bring me, like, hey, I tried this tea and it is awful. I offer to pay the shipping for the tea to go. Some people try a tea. Not every tea is for everybody. I will fully admit there are teas in my catalog that I'm just like, no. But other people love them. That's the beauty of having, a diverse tea company. There's a tea for everybody, quite literally. But I pay them the shipping fee and they send me back their tea. And if they've only, if they only used, a pot full, then I give them that in a credit for them to try something else. I've only had one instance where I had to fully refund someone, and that's just because everything arrived smashed. The teapot was smashed, the whole thing. It was a travesty during the package apocalypse, but we got it all settled. But knowing what you plan to do for a return and a refund ahead of time and having it in a written policy that people are given before they purchase will make all of this go so smoothly. If you have a shopping website, you can put your return policy in the writing of your shopping cart so they can see 2 weeks return, full exchange for, ill-fitting garments, and there'll always be an exception. There will always be an exception. There will always be somebody that you just have to swallow and break your own policy for.
Right.
They become so few and far between if your policies are already clear. And again, go to the Apple website, put in return policy. It pops right up. You don't even have to hunt for it. And that's part of customer service. Having your policies and procedures out front, nothing hidden, causes people to trust you.
Absolutely.
They may not super like it, but they trust you. Being able to say, hey, you have full access to me on Voxer except Sundays. They know, oh, it's a Sunday. I'm not going to be able to, I won't be able to get this answered right now. It also causes people, especially in the coaching arena, to try and solve things themselves. There are times when you're a coach and people come to rely on you to decide the shade of their china. There are ways that you have to just kind of allow people to grow on their own, and setting those boundaries like days off and return policies lets you do that. So I am wholeheartedly with you on the return policy. I just want to see them out front and present. A return policy is not a pair of drawers. You don't have to hide it.
Look, and I suggest to people that you put your return policy in the footer area of your website, right? To me, it should be right by that contact. Like if you're selling products on a product website, it should be in that bottom arena, right by your contact, have your shipping, your
Easily
return,
accessible,
your
all of it.
exactly right. And like you said, there are some websites like Shopify let you integrate, your policies within that checkout form, which makes it, hey, this was at the bottom in the footer. This was when you checked out. So it's not my, sounds horrible, but it's not my fault that you didn't click on those because they were presented to you, 2 to 3 times before you purchased, right? Then it puts
Yeah.
it back on the customer.
I have a friend, she sells t-shirts. She makes homemade t-shirts. She made a t-shirt with her return policy on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's literally the picture on her store.
That's
I mean,
hilarious.
it is right there. And she did it as a joke because I told her, I'm like, she's like, what about my return policy? I'm like, honey, it's not underwear. You don't hide it. So
Now,
she made a t-shirt.
I want to know, because I do run into this sometimes. What do you think about people? And this typically happens with, like, again, people who are selling product-based products, and they are really just starting out, and their cash flow really kind of determines this, but they'll say like no refunds at all. Like, what do you think about people that have a very inflexible, return system? Like, what are your thoughts on that? I definitely have mine, but I want to hear yours.
I understand the cash flow problem. I can see where there would be some products that would be no refunds. Like if you're selling lingerie, there are laws around that.
Right.
If you're selling food, there are laws around those return refunds. If you are in a place where you are cash strapped and you are just starting out and you cannot afford to refund them money,
Mm-hmm.
then you need to have an exchange policy
Right. Something.
or a store credit policy. You can't just say no returns, no refunds, no credit. Like, I mean, you totally can. You totally can. This is the United States of America. You are allowed to have a completely nope, not happening policy.
Right.
Darling, you're not going to have a business either.
Yep.
Sorry, I love you, but that's the truth.
That's exactly what I tell people too. Like, you when you grow in scale, when you get to the point of when you're ready to grow and scale and you're in front of people that don't know you, that have never met you, right? Just like you said, having your policies, even if people do not like them, front and center helps people to be able to trust you. So when I
How
see
many
that,
people like Facebook's policies, but we're all there?
oh my gosh, yeah,
But
you're
they're right there in front of your face. So, I mean, I just got out of Facebook jail because of a Facebook policy.
right. But like you said, you're still there.
It,
So,
it, it was right there in my face. I didn't actually do anything wrong. Someone didn't like some rules that I had set up in a vendor market, and then they wanted to be a vendor, but I already had that company represented. And so she reported my vendor rules as bullying. And the algorithm is set up now to have a zero tolerance if someone clicks bullying. So I got to spend the weekend in
oh,
Facebook jail and not participate in a market that I had set up, which was just hilarious.
wow.
But we all know that that's Facebook. Facebook has never pretended that it put up with bullying ever.
Right.
That's Facebook's policy. So if your policies are out front, this gives you a wall of protection when people say, but, you can say, I completely understand where you're coming from. And it would really frustrate me if I were in your shoes.
Yes.
However, our policies laid out, this is what I can do. So everything I just did there is something that I teach. Like that is classic customer service. I acknowledged that there was an issue. I aligned with the fact that it sucked. I showed empathy. And then I gave a solution. I was like, this is what we can do. I teach all of this. I'm going to do a live workshop the end of March. We're going to do 30 minutes of instruction and then an hour of everybody getting in with me, kind of like this, where I am the customer and you are you, and we role play it and we workshop it out, because this isn't stuff that you just read a book and get, or watch
No,
my lives. I mean, some of it, yes, you can grab the vocabulary, you can grab and put into place. It'll feel a little funny in the beginning, but you'll get it. Like it takes a minute. Like
absolutely.
I don't even look at my kids and go, what's the problem? I go, hey, what's the issue? And it's just,
Wow.
it's
Yeah.
so ingrained in me.
You have definitely, I mean, you're living what you teach people, which, I mean, when you're teaching people, that's a pretty
It's
good
something that I
trait to
helped
have.
create, and I taught it to so many people on a corporate level. And now that I'm no longer in the corporate level, I want to bring it to people who really need it, who
Absolutely.
really, really, really will benefit from it. Like I have seen the night and day. And honey, I got stuff that looks like Jedi mind tricks. My cat just unplugged my light.
It's okay.
Sorry, y'all.
It's
Nothing's
okay.
happening.
It is
Um,
okay. It's
Sorry to the
okay.
photosensitive people.
It's completely okay. I promise it is. No, so I want to hear, and probably the people that are listening, they want to hear a little bit more about your one-on-one program, because I'm pretty sure your one-on-one program, when you talk about it, you'll tell us a little bit more about, the strategies that you use, or, not specific strategies, but what kind of path you take people on to really help them corral their customer service, like, and get that together.
Right. So I offer two types of one-on-one. The first type is a 90-minute session with me. And we start by looking at where you're at currently with your customer service. Like if you've never actually sat down and thought about your customer service, we start there. And then we work into areas that you see a repeat pattern. Like if you keep seeing like my cop, he couldn't figure out why people weren't coming back. And I was like, well, do you yell at them like you're talking to a criminal? He was like, when they're doing criminal, stupid things like pouring coffee all over the place, like, quit that. So we look at the things that you can change, and then we'll go into role play if we need to. We'll start writing out your policy if we need to. We will get as much done and tackle as many things in that 90-minute session, if that's what you want, as we can. Now, I have a 3-month program where we expand that 90-minute session. You get 2 1-hour sessions a month, access to me on Voxer, and I help you create your customer service tree. I help you create policies if that's what needs to happen. I help you set boundaries. We look at customer service goals. We do lots of role play. We take specific wording for your business, and I will help you create content that uses neurolinguistics to get your customers to go, oh, oh. So it's a lot more in depth. Like my 3-monthers, like I'll just go back to my coffee shop cop. He's set to make over $1 million in coffee and donuts during COVID
Wow.
because he has policies that his employees can use, because he understands that his employees are his first customer. So we really look at your specific business. And I work with network marketers. I work with solopreneurs. I work with small businesses who have less than 30 employees. I probably would push that to 50, but any more than that, it gets a little, like, it becomes more corporate, and you have more people to kind of teach through before you get down to the employee level.
Right.
But I love this. Like customer service, quite literally, is something I can talk about all. I fix customer service problems at Target while I'm waiting in line.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody who is listening, I'm sure they can tell, right, that you are your brand. You're living your brand, like you live, sleep, eat, breathe your brand and what you do. And I mean, when you're looking for a culture consultant, like, in whatever niche you want, someone like that, like, I want someone who's excited about it. And you definitely sound like you're super knowledgeable, very excited, right? And this is just kind of what makes you tick. Like, yay, customer
Really, yeah,
service.
and it's I appreciate that so much. It's I'll fully admit it's a weird thing to be excited about. Brain function and neurolinguistics and how that rolls into why we buy things and how we buy things and customer service. It's weird, but I'm okay with weird.
Well, you know what? Every successful person, as they grow their business, will need someone like you on their team, right? As you grow and scale, I can definitely see some of the things that you're talking about being relevant to, solopreneurs, obviously. But as you grow and scale, like the things that you're talking about are undeniable, and they are something that's going to have to be addressed, to remove any potential barriers out of the way, kind of like you were talking about with your coffee shop guy. So when you get to the point of where you do have some consistent revenue and you want to grow and scale that, you start looking at your policies and your procedures and the things that you do or do not have in place. And so when you get to that point, you definitely need someone like you who's going to help you zone in, understand what's not there, understand how to get it in place, right? And really be there to help refine those processes. Like, it's not just enough to have them, but you have to go back and see, is this working, edit it and change it. And, totally. So,
And that's why I provide the Voxer. Um, and my clients, you don't ever lose the Voxer. Like after the 3 months, it's not like, oh, never mind. Like you can always reach out to me and say, hey, this phrasing isn't working anymore, or I've grown, or you know, this has changed. So,
yeah.
once you have me, I'm kind of like kudzu. I go everywhere, I touch all the things, and you can't get rid of me.
Well, I love it. I love it. And I know your customers are super happy with you because you're helping them, make more money, like in solving things on the back end that a lot of business owners really don't have the wherewithal to be able to deal with. Like, when you're a coach, or definitely if you're selling products, the very last thing that you're thinking about is customer service. So
Yes. Yes,
again,
it's one of those things that people think just happens. It's just something that
right.
happens. I'll sell these t-shirts and my customers will love them, and customer service just happens.
Absolutely.
No.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I can show you how to make it look like it did. I can show you how to make it look completely effortless. Like you never have a bad day ever. Like, unless you want to show your customers that I am really honest with the people in my group and my customers. Like, they know when my toddler has done crazy things. Like, they know, like, I'm just me. Unfortunately, what you see is what you get. I brushed my hair today for y'all. So
Look, I have my nice wrap on, so I just
it's
brushed my
beautiful. It's
thank
beautiful. I would
you.
love to learn to do that, but it probably wouldn't stay. Like my hair doesn't like ponytail holders, so I can imagine what it would do with a beautiful wrap like that. But I mean, I love what I do, and I would love to see some of you guys in my group, because I mean that's where I'm giving away the free stuff. The group is where you're going to get the free stuff. I'm starting a coaching every week. We're going to go live and I will live coach. I'm hoping every week. Right now I've got some applicants that I'm looking at, but I call it the arena, and we will go in and look at one thing in your business, and I will coach you live in front of the group. I promise it's not as scary as it sounds. Everything you've seen here, this is how I coach. Like, I will tell you the truth. I am Southern. I will tell you the truth, but I will always make sure that you leave at least smiling, if not laughing, even if I have to tell you a horrifying dad joke.
And you're making sure that people leave with more knowledge than they came with. Like, again, we learn with customer service, you're not going to always like it, but it's necessary. And so if that means taking a hard look at your systems and, being receptive to suggestions, on what you can do to improve.
You've got to be ready. You've got to be ready to take a good look at what you currently have.
Absolutely.
And where you're currently. And a lot of people are not ready to turn around and realize that the house that they built is standing on one pillar.
Yeah.
It can feel a little scary.
That's a hard look for people.
It's hard, but
even
that's
when
why
you're not talking about alone. Well, even when you're not talking about customer service, like any critiques when it comes to business is hard. And I can understand that because, like you said, a lot of solopreneurs are doing it themselves, right? A lot of the people that need it the most are really the people that they're, like you said, they're solopreneurs and they don't have other people to consult with, or they don't have anyone to say, hey, does this sound right? Or can I do this? Or should I do this? Or will this push customers away? They don't have anybody.
They just have that business bestie, and or they have their group of other mompreneurs or solopreneurs or womenpreneurs or coppreneurs or whatever your group is. I promise there's a group on Facebook for you. But they have those people. They don't have somebody in their corner to look at them and say the hard things. That's why you pay me. You pay me to tell you the hard truth and help you look at what you're missing and hold your hand so you don't feel like you're falling. That's literally what I strive for every day, is to make sure that my clients know I am here and I will answer whatever they need me to, and that they are not alone. It is so hard, right? Like we're all cooped up in our houses, unless, you can make it out. God bless those people who can make it out. But I mean, we're all so isolated and it's all so lonely. And then you add running your own business on top of that.
Absolutely.
It's such a scary leap of faith to do it in the first place, but then to do it alone. So I am here. If you join my group, you're not alone. You will never be alone again from the moment you join my group, whether you pay me or not. I'm here to help you. I promise.
That's so wonderful. And I mean, I promise, before you came on here, I have never thought so much into customer service. This is really it's my first time thinking about, customer service in the depths of the way we discussed it on today's podcast. Like, I understand the basics of having follow-up and, the customer experience on the website, but I haven't thought about it so in depth. So again,
well, book a free 20-minute tune-up with me. I've got a Calendly link. It's 20 minutes. We'll take a quick look and a quick dive, and you'll leave with something that you can fix. And then if you decide that, you need more, you know where I'm at.
Wow. And look, I'm going to drop that link I'm going to drop that link too. So
thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. There's so many people out here that need what you offer. So, this is just another vehicle to get them to you. And that's what I wanted it to be.
Well, thank you.
Yes, yes. Now, before we wrap up, just run through your socials, tell people where you're at online, share your website, and
Oh, my website just crashed, like the whole. So
oh
I
man.
currently don't have a website. The server and the company that was running that server, they don't exist anymore, and they didn't tell anybody. They just took my money and
Wow.
left. So even the customer service lady can be taken advantage of. So I don't have a website right now, but you can find me on Facebook at Brooke Bell Mitchke-Downs. I don't know why it won't let me take off my nickname. You can find me on Clubhouse at B-Mitchke-Downs. And my Instagram, I just started. It's a hot mess. It's also B Mitchke-Downs. And I have a LinkedIn profile, but please God, don't look for me there because it is a catastrophe. I focus mostly on Facebook. I do
Yes,
have a 2-year-old and a 15-year-old, so I'm finding those spaces. I'm just going to be really honest. Like the
absolutely.
spaces to work on my back office are odd and usually middle of the evening, late night, early morning times. But please find me on Facebook. It is where I am most active. You can also find me on Clubhouse. I'm pretty active there too. In fact, I'm going to do a room on Saturday evening where I am going to be answering all things customer service. So if you have a question, pop in. And I will be doing this every Saturday until I get bored.
Wow. Well, I'm going to link all of that. I'll link, all your pages, and I will make sure to put your Clubhouse username on there. However, people need to get in contact with
I will
you.
give you all the ways.
Yes, I'm definitely going to link everything. So
Thank you
again,
so
I
much.
yeah, I really appreciate you. I really do appreciate you for getting on here and talking about something. Your niche is not an area that's super saturated, so you don't hear, a million people talking about customer service. This is really a unique topic. So I'm super glad that I have you on, and it again is something that people need to focus on more.
Thank
You
you.
know. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
so glad to be here. This was an honor. I cannot wait to blast your podcast to all of my people on all of the channels and in all of the groups that I'm in. It is super, super exciting. I did not put up my Monday motivation in my group today because I was like, I'm doing a podcast. So I'm hoping that they tell me what some of their goals are, because this has been a goal of mine, is to be a guest and to get this out there for some people. So thank
Oh,
you very much. I am very grateful.
oh, well, thank you. Thank you. We'll definitely have to connect via other ways and things to get your message out there. So, yes, but thank you all to the listeners for listening to the podcast. I appreciate you for making your way through. The interviews are significantly longer, but it's okay, right? We're giving out good information. We're talking about very quality topics, and I appreciate every single person that has made it to this point in the podcast. So I hope to see you guys on the next episode. We're going to have more consultants and coaches. We're going to have more e commerce business owners, just because I really love to get other perspectives on things. And just as, Brooke came on here today and really shed light on the importance of customer service for online business owners, solopreneurs and more. It's a super important topic. So, be looking out for more episodes, and definitely subscribe to this podcast. Okay, wherever you're listening to it, subscribe, and make sure to check out Brooke's links below. I'm going to include her links in the description below, and as well as my links to my website and my Facebook group, all that jazz. So, thank you so much for tuning in to the podcast, and I will chat with you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.